Good morning. Well, it's been a couple of weeks since I've actually been on YouTube, and I've even got some comments. Of course, one of the last videos that I did was about being interviewed and audited and things like that, and some of you asked, well, apparently you got busted or whatever. No, actually, all the interviews went well. We were not guilty of any violations at all. And I think a lot of people that get on YouTube, and especially I found some of the government people, the people that actually reported us, are people that are watching YouTube. And, you know, in our business, we do not violate any laws. That doesn't mean we don't know how to get around certain situations. And actually, it was from a YouTube viewer that I feel started all this, and I can tell people a lot of things that they can do. That doesn't mean I necessarily do them. You know, a lot of people talking about out-of-state licensing and out-of-state sales and selling on eBay and flipping cars and not being able to catch that. You know, those are oversights by the government. That doesn't necessarily mean that I do them in our business. So with that being said, everything is fine. No violations at all. Now, the reason for my absence for the past couple of weeks, some of you may have missed us, some of you may have not. We've got a lot of construction going on right now. The county is putting new gas lines out in our area, and there's been just I mean, I've been dealing with equipment noises and equipment now for the past couple of weeks. It's very aggravating. It's hard on business. So it's just something we're having to deal with right now. But I wanted to take this opportunity on this video to talk about because I got some comments about asking solutions to some of our problems that we have, that every used car dealer has. I mean, it is buyer's remorse, problem cars, and you know, we've had our share of them, just like anybody has. But some of you ask about some of the solutions that we had. Now, we had just a terrible experience with a couple of Dodge Hemis last month, and last month being September. We sold two of those cars with the Dodge Hemi motors, and both of them blew up within a week. And so some of you have asked about the resolutions that we made on those cars. And just like we have to abide, you know, if we're found guilty of a violation, we have to pay the consequences. And but what that means, by the same token, when we sell a car as is, that means as is in the state of Tennessee. Now, a lot of you are confused that you think certain states have warranties, force the dealers to have warranties on used cars. That's a lie. Those states really just force you to have a complete condition report on those cars, but there's absolutely no law in any state anywhere that forces a warranty to be made on a used car. And therefore, hence, that's what happened to us. These people came back, cars blown up. Now, in one particular case, man came back, he had bought this Hemi car for his grandson. The man, honest to God, when it comes to warranty and an issue on a car, you have to take every situation in particular. Look at what's going on. That man continuously, still to this day, brings the car back. Very nice guy, but he wound up having to put a new motor in the car at his expense after driving it less than 3 days. His grandson drove it less than 3 days. Man put a new motor in it. Now, the thing that I looked at when it come down to warranting it, of course, I couldn't take a car that we made, although we made a decent profit, but nowhere near enough profit, and wouldn't have done it even regardless of the profit, replace the motor in the car. But the man came back. He came back within 15 minutes after buying the car, could not turn the flashers off. Okay, that was number one for me. Man didn't know how to turn the flashers off on his car. Now he comes back and the hood wouldn't open on the car. He was back in yesterday and the hood wouldn't open on the car. And I showed the man where he had been pulling on the parking brake instead of the hood release. So we got a situation there where a person is not familiar with the operations of the vehicle himself, and obviously I know his grandson's. So I'm absolutely convinced that we took the right stance on not repairing this car, because if it couldn't find the flashers or the hood release on the car, chances are they paid no attention to the gauges on the car. That would have told them the car was in danger of going bad. So I had to look at that situation overall and say, no, you know, you didn't even do your due diligence of knowing where the parking brake or the flasher button was on the car. I can't trust that you did your due diligence in avoiding the permanent and very expensive damage on this car. That was number one. Within 2 weeks later, we sold almost the identical car. And when I say sell, we don't sell cars here at Auto Wholesale Group. We allow people to buy cars. There's no high pressure salesperson here. Most of you know me from YouTube. I'm not a salesperson. I'm going to state the facts the way they are, as they are that day. Now tomorrow the facts may change and I'm going to restate them. So I've been in this business long enough to say that one of my favorite books that I've read is Jeffrey Gitomer, Little Red Book of Selling. And in that book, Jeffrey points out that we don't sell anything anymore. The buyers are so educated out there now with all this social media and everything that we got going. They're so educated on what they can buy that you don't get a chance to sell them. They've got their mind made up on what they want when they get to you. And if it's exactly what's been represented to them, they've already sold themselves on whether they want it or not. So my point was, man comes back within a week and buys the identical car, blew up, of course, come back to us. Look, I got enough sense to know you're a young man. It was his first car. Got enough sense to know you bought a Hemi engine for a reason. Now, I don't think it was because of the gas mileage, and I don't think it was just to get from point A to B. It was a Hemi engine, which was a performance engine, and I think you outperformed this car. Now, to date, this has been almost 3 weeks now, and since his initial contact at 5:30 a.m. on a Sunday morning by text that he wanted his money back on the car, and I informed him there would be no such solution, that we would assist him in helping to getting the car repaired at our cost. We would not absorb the cost. We would get it done at our volume discounts, which are considerable by our mechanic. But no, we are not taking the car back, and we're not footing the problem on this car. 3 weeks, no further word for the car. The car is still in the possession of the mechanic. Have no idea what's going to happen on that car, but I know what my stance is going to be on that car. When you buy a Hemi engine, you sign an as-is statement. Be prepared that totally means as is. Now, when you buy a Toyota or a Honda or something that is known for gas mileage, and it's still as is warranty. But you know, I'm not saying that as customer service, if I got to step out and spend $200 or $300 on a car to keep goodwill to a customer, yes, I'm going to do it. I'm not going out and replacing a motor, a transmission, or anything on a car, which all of these things give you clear warning signs before they're permanently destroyed. And those warning signs were ignored. My stance is those warning signs are ignored. The as-is warranty sticks, period. Now, recently I had a gentleman that commented, and I want to push for your comments now, because that's what drives this channel, is your comments. Excuse me, I had a man comment that he'd been watching or binge watching our videos, and we had a Mountaineer. Most of you would go back and you talk, you single out a certain video. This Mountaineer where the lady bought, wish she had bought a van, as she traded in a van because the third row seat was not as accommodating as her van was. And so yes, they started coming up with resolutions on everything in the world that could be wrong with this car was wrong with it, in an attempt to try to get into a more convenient vehicle for them. So they started looking for problems to present to us, and we took the vehicle back in with the pretense, okay, we're going to address the problems, you're going to pay for the problems. We did absorb some of the cost because our mechanic, which is the dumbest, and I hate to say this, but I mean the dumbest fucking thing that I could ever imagine, that our mechanic pulled the transmission out of this vehicle, replaced the transmission, did some work on the transmission, valve bodies and solenoids and things of that nature, and put the damn transmission back in the car without replacing a $2 or $3 seal. The seal leaked on the car. The customer had a valid complaint. I've got a transmission leak. After we've just removed the transmission and put the seal, or put the transmission back in, mechanic made the decision not to put new seals in the GD transmission. We had to go back and repay the same damn mechanic that made the same stupid mistake and did not replace the seals in the car or in the vehicle at the time, and we had to pay him to pull that transmission back out and put the seals back in, which he should have done the first time. So that wound up being an expense we incurred on it. Infuriates me at my friggin' mechanic. You know, that when you're out here and you're a used car salesman, or a used car, and like I said, I use the term salesman, but you know, I get infuriated with these friggin' mechanics out here that will do something. Like I said, that is beyond my comprehension. Why pull a damn transmission out and then put a transmission back in without replacing the seals? Anyway, I'm at almost 15 minutes on this video, so I want to cut it short. A lot of you had asked about some of these resolutions. We did, the Mountaineer in particular, we did pay part of the expense. Like I said, we agreed to get the car past emissions, which is in our area. We did that. We paid for the transmission to be removed and the seals to be replaced, even though that should have been the mechanic's responsibility, but what can you do? So anyway, that's what we did on those resolutions. The customer, we did allow them to post date us some checks in order to help them out on the repairs. We'll see if their checks are good, but at least we got a recourse on those. But anyway, you just have to use it, take it by case instance, and use your head about them. When somebody does permanent damage to a car, no, we're not incurring that damage that could have probably been repaired. less expensively had they paid attention to it. But it's pure ignorance and ignoring a situation to get out of a car. So no, we didn't do it. I'm going to sign off now. If you got any comments, please send them to me. I'll make additional videos on those comments. If you find this information useful, please like and share this channel. Have a great day.